Just this month, Elon Musk announced that Tesla produced their 3 millionth fully electric car. That's a huge milestone for Tesla, and they are set up to keep growing and building tons of electric cars well into the future. But the competition is arriving to a degree. It seems like each day we see another EV announced from a startup or an established brand. In fact, there are so many announced at this point that covering all of them would make for an incredibly long video. Today we're going to get into the latest EV competition coming Tesla's way and when we should expect them to arrive, so let's get into it. Before we dive into the newest electric cars coming soon, here are a few we won't be talking about today because they're already shipping. There's the Rivian R1T, a great electric truck, the GMC Hummer EV, a small volume premium electric truck, and the Ford F-150 Lightning. Each of these trucks has just begun shipping, but the demand for them is big. Ford also ships the Mustang Mach-E, and that car has proven pretty popular in reviews. Kia recently began shipping the EV6, built on the same platform as the Hyundai Ioniq 5, which is also shipping, and over at VW, they also have been shipping the ID4 for some time now. The Polestar 2 has shipped, and Polestar is planning to scale further. Porsche has shipped a couple versions of the pricey Taycan. Mercedes has shipped the EQS. Lucid has shipped the Lucid Air. BMW has shipped the iX and i4. And then there are a number of other EVs that have been on the market for some time. For the most part, for each of these EVs, I regularly see them on the road near me. Those cars should keep scaling and competing with Tesla in the years to come, and that's really the main part of the story for EV competition: scaling. Who can actually make a popular car and deliver hundreds of thousands of them while making a profit? As a quick review, most of these electric cars will be competing with the Tesla Model 3 and Y. The long-range Model 3, available to order in 2023, comes in right around $58,000 and gets 358 miles of range EPA. The Model Y long-range is right about $66,000 and gets a range of 330 miles EPA. In the real world, you'll experience less range, but that is across the board from nearly every brand, as this is a reflection of the real world versus EPA testing. Still, you'll notice that many EVs are coming in with less range, and that's a big factor with people choosing the right EV for them. First up for upcoming electric cars is the Genesis GV60. Technically, this car is already shipping, but it's so new that it's worth mentioning. This is the first all-electric SUV from Genesis, and it packs some impressive specs. First, it has a great-looking exterior. Then the interior has a very luxurious feel with a mix of buttons and screens. They also have a crystal sphere as a specific design element that they say is also built to create an emotional connection between the driver and the vehicle. There are a lot of specifics to mention, but the main specs we'll talk about for each car are price, driving range, and acceleration. The GV60 starts right under $60,000 at $59,985. Horsepower options are 314 or 429 for the performance trim, and car and driver managed a 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds with the performance model. All trims come with a 77.4 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and the estimated range is a maximum of 248 miles EPA on a charge. Genesis says you can charge from 10 to 80% in as little as 18 minutes at a DC fast charger. Next up is another small SUV. This one is from Cadillac. The Cadillac Lyriq is one of the first GM EVs built on the Ultium platform, and GM says that it starts at $62,990. It's a premium EV featuring a lot of buttons in the interior and screens. Outside, it looks like a futuristic Cadillac. For DC fast charging, it can do up to 190 kilowatts, which they say gets you up to 76 miles of range in 10 minutes. The Lyriq rear-wheel drive features an impressive range of 313 miles and is a true competitor when it comes to range. This is achieved with a 102 kilowatt-hour battery though, much larger than the Model Y, so that means efficiency isn't as good and charging takes a bit longer. It may not be a factor that matters to you, but it's worth mentioning. Reportedly, some Lyriqs have already been delivered, but we'll truly see this ramping up this year and next. Cadillac is working on another EV at the same time though, and that's called the Celestiq. They call it the Celestiq show car, and it truly is that. It's an ultra-luxury vehicle built in every way to have impressive features. Not much is known about this car other than an estimated range of 400 miles, 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, and the kicker, a starting price of $300,000. Clearly, it is not competing with the last few cars we've mentioned, but it's an EV also coming from GM. Next up might be one of the most exciting EVs coming soon, the DeLorean Alpha5. DeLorean officially unveiled the new Alpha5 this past week, and it's pretty cool looking. This is the relaunch of the DeLorean brand after 40 years, and of course, it features gull-wing doors. Other than the doors, this prototype looks nearly nothing like the original DeLorean, but it's an exciting place for this car to go. Electric definitely makes sense for the DeLorean brand, and they have gone full force with a futuristic interior that also can mimic the original DeLorean if you so choose. So far, there is no pricing yet announced for this car, and it's set to go on very limited sale in 2024. Many expect them to be attempting to compete with the Model S Plaid and Lucid Air, so it could easily be over $100,000. They will be working with a US-based manufacturer rather than making them themselves. This is the most conceptual car we will be talking about today, since it's just such a legendary brand. Next up is an EV from one of the biggest brands out there, the Honda Prologue. A few weeks ago, Honda released a teaser video about the design of this car, but hardly anything is known about it. The concept photos show a fairly standard-looking SUV that's fully electric, and most estimate them trying to make this affordable. Price estimates from Car and Driver are a $45,000 starting price, and range estimates are 250 to 320 miles on a charge, depending on the specs. It's expected to go on sale in 2024, but prior to that, we could see another EV, likely built on the same platform, from Honda's premium brand. The Acura Precision EV is also a concept at this stage, set for release in 2024, and Acura says, quote, "The Acura Precision EV concept is a design study that will shape the direction of future Acura products in the electrified era, including our first all-electric SUV in 2024. Some wild concept renders show the front interior featuring a yoke steering wheel and a very minimal interior. Clearly, this render is inspired by Tesla and taking certain designs and lighting to another level. Here's the clearest concept they released of the exterior. They are also working on the ADX EV, and it's unclear which will come first. Next is a pretty exciting EV because it's the follow-up to one of the longest selling EVs on the market, the Nissan Ariya. Nissan has quite a bit of experience with EVs with the Nissan Leaf, initially released back in 2010. That car has had quite an evolution, but Nissan is moving on to a new platform for their upcoming Ariya. The Ariya is an all-electric crossover SUV starting at $45,950. The max range that it can achieve with extended range is 304 miles, and the Platinum Plus model can do a 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. The Ariya will reportedly be available in fall of 2022, so it should come within a few months. One downside of this car is that the max charge rate is 130 kilowatts. That's pretty low, especially considering Teslas can do 250 kilowatts, and other cars like the Ioniq 5 can do even faster. Either way, the starting price of the Ariya is about $20,000 less than the Model Y, and it should offer a somewhat comparable range, so I'm excited to see that come later this year. I just mentioned the Ioniq 5's charging speeds, and that brings us to Hyundai. The Ioniq 5 has been already very popular, and I see more and more of these cars on the road each day. It's a small electric SUV with a range up to 303 miles EPA, and a great starting price just under $40,000. The SE model, which features that full 303-mile range, has an MSRP of $44,000. Again, this is over $20,000 less than a Model Y if you can find one of the lower spec without a dealer markup. In any case, the follow-up to the Ioniq 5 is the Ioniq 6. The Ioniq 6 can be quickly compared to the Model 3. It's a small sedan, and Kia says it's coming in 2023. The interior is very similar to the Ioniq 5, and the estimated starting price is $42,000. Due to its shape, many are estimating that it could offer a range up to 400 miles in the more expensive configurations, but that remains to be seen. Since the Ioniq 5, which is the same platform, does, and in order to compete with the Model 3, 300 miles will definitely be necessary. Hyundai's EV offerings have been pretty exciting thus far, so I'm very excited to see the Ioniq 6 come to be. Some initial shots of this car spotted out in the wild make it look pretty interesting, so I'm excited to see what the release model looks like. The next EV, hopefully coming soon, is especially interesting because it promises a range of up to 1,000 miles. Aptera is making three-wheel solar electric vehicles that don't require charging for daily use. Instead, they get their energy from the sun. The latest updates on this car include a reveal of the Gamma prototype interior. The interior is very much like the Model 3 and Y, but it has an additional instrument cluster display. The pricing remains unchanged, starting as low as $25,900 for a range of 250 miles, but of course this is an extremely specific car. It's exciting to track the progress of, and Aptera says that they plan to enter production by the end of this year. I'm not incredibly optimistic about that given the small amount of prototypes they have shown so far, but either way it will be cool to see what happens with this car. It could be a serious competitor when it comes to long-range electric vehicles if they manage to scale it. One electric truck you may not have heard of yet is the Lordstown Endurance. This car was unveiled a while ago now, and then it looked as though they were never are going to be made. Now, after releasing their Q2 earnings and managing a profit before delivering any cars, Lordstown has reaffirmed goals for 2022. They plan to commercially produce the Endurance EV in Q3 and deliver the first ones in Q4. Their scaling depends on raising additional capital, and for now this truck will only be available commercially, but it's exciting to see another electric car hopefully getting produced this year. Now back to electric cars that are a bit more normal. This month, Chevy announced the Blazer EV. From the exterior, this is basically just an updated version of the existing Chevy Blazer, and for some people that's exactly what they want. The all-electric Blazer EV will be available in summer of 2023 according to GM. The starting price is estimated at $44,995. It will get a GM estimated range of up to 320 miles on a charge, feature a 0 to 60 under 4 seconds, and a 17.7-inch diagonal display. The cheapest model will have an estimated range of 247 miles on a charge, and they are planning for 4 different trim levels. The cheapest trim will be available in winter of 2024, the most expensive in fall of 2023, and the rest in summer of 2023. Assuming GM can deliver on that pricing, it should be a fairly popular EV. Next up from them, though, is the Equinox EV. The Chevy Equinox EV is only a concept at this point, but it's very important due to its entry price. Chevy says that this will come in fall of 2023 and start at $30,000. This is the cheapest EV aside from the Aptera that we have talked about so far in this video. Affordability is the biggest factor going forward with EVs, so if they can deliver on it, this will be big. GM says, quote, "The announcement of the Equinox EV comes on the heels of Chevy's reveal of the 2024 Silverado EV and confirmation of the Blazer EV SUV, which will be available in spring 2023. That brings us to the Silverado EV. While it's arriving after the F-150 Lightning and likely around the same time as the Cybertruck, the Silverado EV is promising a lot. The MSRP starting price for the Silverado EV is $39,900. That's a great entry price for an all-electric truck, and there is a lot of promise in the specs. Of course, the top specs will be pricier, but GM is promising a range of 400 miles on a charge, over 660 horsepower, a 0 to 60 under 4.5 seconds, and over 780 pound-feet of torque. We should see this arrive in 2023 or 2024, and it'll be directly competing with the Cybertruck that Tesla plans to be shipping in the second half of 2023. Next up is the SUV version of an EV shipping today, the Polestar 3. The Polestar 3 is clearly the follow-up to the Polestar 2, and it is reportedly coming as soon as October of this year. It will be a premium EV with an estimated starting price of $75,000 from Car and Driver, and based on the Polestar 2, it could have a range in the upper 200s. Likely, it will feature much of the same interior and platform as the Polestar 2, upgraded into a larger form. Polestar is an all-electric piece of Volvo, but another company whose platform is being used in multiple vehicles is Toyota. The Toyota BZ4X is Toyota's first true all-electric vehicle. It gets a range up to 250 miles on a charge, starts at $43,335, and can do a 0 to 60 in 6.4 seconds. It's not the most exciting car when it comes to specs, but Toyota seems to be building it for functionality and price. The unfortunate thing is that the range hasn't held up. The 228-mile range on the XLE model ended up being 160 miles in Car and Driver's highway range testing. Additionally, Toyota has already faced a huge recall for this car. The wheels were quite literally at risk of falling off, so they have initiated buybacks on this vehicle. The platform is being used by Subaru as well for their upcoming Solterra electric vehicle. Both of these cars should end up promising, but, quote, "The recall also affects the Subaru Solterra, the BZ4X's sister car, though none of those had apparently made it into the hands of US owners yet." So each of these cars, after barely being released in any fashion, are facing massive recalls. The Subaru Solterra, when it comes out, is expected to start at $44,995 and get 228 miles of range. That range, to me, is far too low, but maybe the pricing will incentivize some to go for it. The next car coming on that platform, though, is from Toyota's premium brand, Lexus. The Lexus RZ 450e shares the same platform as the BZ4X, but uses larger motors so that it has almost 50% more power than the BZ4X. It has an upgraded interior, is expected to start around $55,000, and is expected to do a 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. They are even offering a yoke steering wheel option that utilizes a steer-by-wire system, which is standard in the RZ. As far as battery, though, the RZ 450 will be using the same size battery as the Solterra and BZ4X. That means a 65.6 kilowatt-hour battery that should get around 225 miles of range. When comparing this to a Model Y, this is 105 miles less EPA range, and definitely significant. Either way, assuming Toyota can fix the massive issues the BZ4 4X platform is facing, all three of these cars should be coming out in the very near future. In my opinion, each of them will have a hard time truly competing due to their lack of power and range, but we'll see. I'm always rooting for great EVs. Next up is the Fisker Ocean. The Fisker Ocean is a fully electric SUV with a lot of impressive features. The most impressive spec of all might be the promised starting price for the base model at $37,499. That model features a 250-mile range, but the top spec includes a 350-mile range and 0 to 60 under 4 seconds. Fisker says that select models for the Ocean will be arriving in 2022, so we could see first models arriving this year. Recently, Fisker asked reservation holders for an extra $5,000 down payment to secure their order on top of the previous $250, so many are skeptical as to where they are at with bringing this car to production. It looks great, and I hope they truly succeed with scaling and pricing for this EV. Next up is the first EV announced to truly compete with the Tesla Model S Plaid. Lucid Motors just announced their new platform called Sapphire. Quote, Lucid Air Sapphire features 3 motors, carbon ceramic brakes, aerodynamic package, new sport seats, and track-tuned suspension for a sublime driver-focused sporting experience. As for the specs, it will offer a sub-2 second 0 to 60, sub-4 second 0 to 100, and sub-9 second quarter mile. Top speed will exceed 200 miles per hour. Each of those specs is clearly going after the Model S Plaid, and they are expecting for it to be the quickest accelerating vehicle in production when production begins in 2023. The price will be $249,000, and it will be a limited production model. Clearly, like a few other premium EVs we've talked about, this won't be competing with an affordable long-range EV, but it's exciting to see this level of performance competition for electric car manufacturers. In a similar boat here, but a very different fashion, is the new Dodge Charger EV. This concept is called the Banshee, and it will be the world's first electric muscle car. The only performance specs we know so far are that it will use Dodge's 800-volt electric all-wheel drive system, which is called Banshee. It features an R-wing to increase aerodynamic efficiency, what they call erupt transmission to deliver distinct shift points, and a Fresonic chambered exhaust. The exhaust is just a noisemaker, which can produce levels of 126 decibels, equivalent to the Dodge Hellcat. This car is clearly designed to imitate what muscle car lovers love about their muscle cars, so we'll have to see how that does if they end up producing it in 2024. To finish off, we just have a couple more electric SUVs. This form factor seems to be the most popular from all brands. Over at Mercedes, the EQB electric SUV is priced starting around $56,800. It features a 66.5 kilowatt-hour battery, so the range will likely be in the low 200s based on estimates, but we don't know the official range yet. Inside, it definitely looks like a Mercedes and even offers a third row. The top 0 to 60 is around 6 seconds. This car should be arriving in the US in 2023, and if it arrives at that price, could compete. However, the range could be a big impact. Over at Rivian, their R1S SUV should be seeing first deliveries by the end of this year. If not, it's definitely coming in 2023. It's pricey, starting at $78,000, but it offers some of the best specs for a true large SUV out there. The longest range is 320 plus miles, it does a 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, can tow up to 7,700 pounds, and includes a weighting depth of 3 plus feet. The R1T has done great in reviews, and the R1S is essentially the closed-off SUV version of that truck, so it's also expected to do well. Hopefully we see this delivered this year. A car that could be competing with the R1S in the future is the Range Rover EV. This will be the first fully electric version of the Range Rover, and it's expected to allow for 3 full rows of seating. Car and Driver gives it an estimated price of around $120,000, so that's quite a bit more expensive than even the R1S, but we'll see what the full specs are when it gets unveiled next year. It's expected to, quote, join the lineup in 2024 and have at least 300 miles of range. As you can see, there are tons of EVs on the way in the coming years. As I mentioned though, the biggest question will be about scaling. Can these companies truly make compelling EVs with a range that satisfies customers and make them at volume? That remains to be seen. To date, Tesla holds a 68% market share of EVs in the US, so we'll see if any of these newly announced EVs contribute to a lower market share from Tesla. Which car is most exciting for you though? Leave a comment below to let me know, and let me know if I left out your favorite. In the meantime, if you want to see the latest Tesla news, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.